Hello and welcome to Eric's Chase Grid Talk episode number, wait for it, number 20. And that's right, we are about to preview the championship race at Homestead. I got some questions to answer, got some stuff to talk about. I'm by myself today, this week. I don't have any guests with me. Thank you again to my dad for being on Monday's episode, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Seemed like most of you guys did. But now it's back to just me. Because, I don't know, it's just easier this way. You know what I mean? Know what I mean? I don't know what I mean. Alright, this music's running on long. I should probably start draining that out. Let's go ahead. I didn't do any of this last week because I was distracted, but I want to do announcements and things like that, such as what's coming up. As you all know, you saw yesterday the Double E Cup Series Season 5. The finale, the final championship race for my series, will be up tomorrow afternoon sometime. And then I've gotten a lot of questions, and I want to clear the air right now. I want to clear it up right now because I get a lot of these questions, and they're kind of annoying. But I've gotten so many, I'm just going to make this one video. And I know not everyone listens to to this show, but so you know, those of you that are listening, please spread the word. But I am not done with the Double E Cup Series after Season 5. I will do a Season 6, but I am going to be taking at least 3 to 4 months off after this season. So after tomorrow, I will be doing basically no Double E Cup Series until probably March. So that gives me a couple months to do other stuff. I have other projects I'm working on, more parodies, more applesauce, vinegar, more string cheese. I'm really hungry. So I'll be making more videos in between now and then, so it's not like I'm just not doing anything for 4 months. No, I'm going to be making a crap ton of videos, but they just won't be stop-motion races. So I hope you guys can forgive me for that. But I will be back in Season 6 in probably March. I don't want to say exactly when because I'll have to get all the 2015 cars, and they aren't going to have all the 2015 cars in March. So that's why it may be closer to April that I actually start the season. Because in April, I don't know, they usually have more cars by then. Who knows? I'm going to get as many as I can. I'll race some 2014 cars if I have to. So that's what's coming up. Other announcements for this channel, really nothing at all. That's about it. That's all I have really to talk about. So I guess what we're talking about, we got one race to go in the season. The final Sprint Cup Series race at Homestead is this Sunday. We got 4 drivers that have a chance to win the championship. Ryan Newman, Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick, and Denny Hamlin. Those 4 drivers are the final 4, and whoever finishes the highest on Sunday is your champion. Doesn't matter that Newman hasn't won any races. Doesn't matter that Logano and Harvick have won a whole bunch of races. Whoever finishes the highest at Homestead this weekend is going to be your 2014 NASCAR Sprint Cup champion. So, with that all being said, I got some questions. A lot of them are very repetitive. People saying, who do you think's going to win? Who do you think's going to lose? Who's your favorite? Who's your least favorite? Do you think that I am pretty? I did not get that comment. But if I did, that would have been weird, and I would not be answering it on this show. Alright, so let's see. Where should I start? I'm looking at the video right now. I'm scrolling around. I don't do any planning ahead of time at all. I'm sitting here just I'm skimming through them now. I've read all your comments at this point, but I haven't made note of them. Alright, this is a good one to start with. From Jay Lassane, he asks, do you think any of the drivers in the Final 4 didn't deserve to be in the Final 4? And I do, actually, and I think a lot of people do. And I know, I'm going to say it right now, I don't feel like Ryan Newman, and I really, honestly, don't really feel like Denny Hamlin necessarily deserves. Actually, that's not true. I'll say Hamlin deserves it. Ryan Newman, I would say, really does not deserve to be in the Final 4, in my opinion. Mainly because there's a couple other guys that I think really do deserve it. I feel like Jeff Gordon completely deserves to be in the Final 4, and in that case, I feel like that bumps Newman out. It's not because Newman hasn't won any races this season. I couldn't care less if he'd won 10 or if he'd won 0. I don't care. That doesn't really matter to me when it comes down to this chase. My problem with him is they haven't even been close to winning any races. They only have a handful of top 5 finishes this year. They have a lot of top 10s, but they don't have hardly any top 5s. And in my opinion, he's not going to win this championship. It's going to be very difficult for them to win this championship. I would pick him 4th out of the 4 contenders because they just have lacked the most. They don't have. It's not. I don't know if it's necessarily speed. It's a mix of everything. They just are not. They have not even been in contention to win. At least like other guys that don't have any wins. Like Kyle Larson doesn't have any wins this year, but he's been really close a couple of times. Matt Kenseth doesn't have any wins this year, but he's been really close a couple of times. Ryan Newman doesn't have any wins, but he hasn't really been that close to getting any wins. You know, he finishes he'll get 7th every week. He finishes 7th like every weekend. That's basically how it is. He's gotten 7th place car every race, and unfortunately, you never really are you really don't have a chance unless you have one of the top 3 or 4 cars in a race. So I don't really personally think that Ryan Newman deserves to be in it. He had a little bit of a problem at Texas where I think he just got lucky, got just high enough. And honestly, after what he did at the last second at Phoenix, where he basically had to run Larson into the wall to get that one position, I just felt like Newman, man, I don't really feel like he deserved to make it in. I'm fine that he did. And in fact, I actually kind of hope he wins the championship, or I wouldn't mind it. I'm pulling for Denny Hamlin. He's my next favorite driver, but Newman, I wouldn't mind seeing him win the title. I don't think he deserves it, but I mean, what are you going to do? This new format's it's taken a lot of guys like Brad Keselowski and people like that, and Jeff Gordon, who've been really a couple of the most dominant cars all season long, just each had a little problems. I mean, stuff that was kind of out of their control exactly. I mean, Keselowski had that failure at Martinsville. That basically took him out of the chase. And Gordon got wrecked by Keselowski at Texas. That basically took him out of the chase. So little things can go a long way, and it's, I guess the 4 guys that made it, Logano and Harvick dominated this chase, especially Joey Logano. Joey's probably sitting there wishing that it was like the old format, because I haven't done the math, but I'm pretty sure he'd have a decent points lead if we were under the old format from like last year and everything, because they've been just consistently good. He spun out at where was it? He spun out at Texas and still came back to get a top 10. So that team, they've been really good. Kevin Harvick, they finally here at the final third of the season in this chase, they finally learned how to finish races. So that's why he's been able to move on, and he needed to win that race at Phoenix, and he did. Nobody was really surprised. They were so dominant in practice all week long, qualifying. I'm not surprised Harvick won that race. I knew they were going to have to beat themselves if that was to happen, so not surprised at all. So I think they both deserve to be in, and I honestly, I'm on the fence with Denny Hamlin. I think they've done a better job of, at least they've been competitive for some wins, here and there, and they did win a race at Talladega early this year. So I'll say, yeah, Hamlin has. I think I'm okay that he made the chase, but if I had to pick one guy to get knocked out, I would say Newman shouldn't have made it, and Jeff Gordon should have. So let's see. Here's I got a couple people ask me questions. Let's see. There's 2 people. Cole Deersing, I don't know how to pronounce your name, I'm sorry. And also Jacob Tube, both asked me, paraphrase, they asked me why I don't like Jeff Gordon, and I think I answered one of them. I said, my reason I don't like Jeff Gordon, the number one reason is Phoenix in 2012. I'm not going to go into detail, made a video about that last year, and I did not agree with any of the way he handled the incident with Clint Bowyer, and so I've never been a big fan of Jeff Gordon, but I still think he should be in the final. I still think he should be in the Final Four, Here's a question from NRCJF88. I don't know what that stands for. I see, the 88, probably something about Dale Jr. That's not necessary. That's not important. Here's his question. His question is, will we see any wild strategies by any of the championship contenders to try and get the needed track position? I don't know. I'm not a freaking fortune teller, but if I had to guess, I would say no. We're not going to see very many strategies at all, because I expect the 4 championship contenders to be in the top 5 pretty much the whole race. I expect maybe a couple other guys, like Jimmy Johnson might sneak in there, Jeff Gordon might be up in there battling with them, but for the most part, I think it's going to be tough. Yes, I think late in the race, if like Ryan Newman's in 12th place and there's like a restart with 5 to go and everyone's pitting, he'll stay out or take 2 tires or something. Yeah, of course they'll do that kind of strategy, but you say wild strategies. I don't think there'll be anything completely absurd. I don't know. I mean, Newman's last lap move at Phoenix was just borderline absurd, but, he did what he had to do, so I would not put anything past these guys. I wouldn't expect anything super crazy, like if it's type of thing where everyone thinks they can make it on 2 more stops. This one guy tries to stretch it. I don't know if they'll do any of that. It'll be that kind of thing. But all the interviews with the crew chiefs and stuff this week, yeah, basically them acting like, it's just any other race, I'm just going to go out and do what we do. And if you're Ryan Newman, you're going to have to do better than that. If you're Denny Hamlin, you're going to have to do better than that. Logano and Harvick can say they can do what they've been doing, but you know what I mean. These crew chiefs obviously aren't going to tell you, oh yeah, we're going to run exactly, this is our exact strategy, we're going to do exactly this, and then, no, they're not going to tell us that, and that makes sense. But I don't buy the fact that they all are acting like, it's just like any other race, Just got to go out and you run it like you usually do. There's obviously added pressure. All the media attention this has gotten. I flip on SportsCenter just about every morning, and we'll just watch a little bit of it before school. And the only time I really ever see them talk about NASCAR is Monday morning, after the day after the race. They'll do a brief highlight thing, Very rarely do they spend much time on NASCAR, but this week, pretty much every day, I've seen them at least mention NASCAR at least once or twice. And I know it's ESPN, so the race is on ESPN, so obviously it's free advertising, but at the same time, this is a big deal. This is a big race, and these crew chiefs know it. I mean, when SportsCenter's taking time away from the NFL to talk about you, you know that you're in the spotlight. So these crew chiefs can say, oh, it's just any other race, but everyone knows that it's not. It's going to be stressful for everyone involved. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. What other questions are there? All right, well, I got a bunch of this question from a couple people. I see Aaron Walpole sent it in, Doge 101. They asked me, who do you think will win the championship? And I don't know. I don't know if I actually formally mentioned this on Monday, but I personally think that Kevin Harvick will win this championship. And I'll be honest, I may be reading too much into it, but the way he ran at Phoenix, which I know isn't really very similar to Homestead in any way, but the dominance that they showed all weekend at Phoenix is very encouraging to Harvick fans. That team has really got what they need to win this championship. They have been the most dominant team probably really since the chase started. They've been maybe the most consistently just top team all year long, but they didn't have all the wins to show for it, at least early in the season. Now they're finishing most of these races. That could be big, and I think I don't know Harvick's record at Homestead, but it's a mile-and-a-half track, so it's not like I don't think he's gonna be bad. It's not like Kyle Busch at Kansas or anything, So I'd say I'd have to pick Kevin Harvick. Joey Logano would be a close second, and then I'd probably have to say Hamlin, then Newman. And I think anybody who's thinking logically probably would say the same thing, because I basically just ranked who's been the best all this season, and it's been those four in that order. So I don't know. I wouldn't put it past anyone. Another question. I don't know if anyone actually sent me this question, but I'm gonna answer it anyways because I think it's a question that should be addressed. Is who do I think will win the race, or do I think that it'll be one of those four guys that wins the race? Do you think that these drivers are gonna have to win the race to win the championship? And I know this has been a question where it's like, oh, I don't know. You might actually have to just go win Homestead if you're going to be the champion. Last year, when it was Matt Kenseth and Jimmy Johnson in the title battle in the last race, Denny Hamlin won the race. But then Jimmy Johnson finished wherever he did and won the championship. So it was that kind of thing. This year, I think the champion is going to be also the winner of this race. I think that Kevin Harvick and Joey Logano have won so many races this year that I'm not going to be surprised if it's them running up front all night long. Newman and Hamlin, I think they're going to turn up the heat for this race, give it everything they got, They're going to throw caution to the wind to try and keep up with the 4-car, and I think they'll be running up pretty close to the front as well. I really hope we don't see any of those 4 drivers just totally just bottom out and suck on Sunday. That'll be just too bad if they miss the setup completely and are running 20th all race long and are 2 laps down. Man, that would be bad. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope that all these guys are competitive and they're all up in the top 5, top 10 for the whole race and are able to compete for the win and the championship. But if I had to guess, I know that we got a lot of strong drivers that aren't technically in the chase, like I mentioned, Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, Brad Keselowski, guys that have been really strong that aren't chasers anymore. I still think that Harvick is going to win the race and the championship, and I think Logano's going to give him a good battle for it. Because if you're Jimmy Johnson, you're not in the chase, and you're leading the race or in second, and you got Harvick in first and Logano in third late in the race, you're not going to be overly aggressive and do anything crazy because you don't want to mess up their championship battle. It sounds messed up. It sounds like, oh well, he should be running as hard as he can. He should try to win. And of course it's true, but let's be realistic now. You don't want to be the guy that accidentally takes out 2 championship contenders just because you're driving like an idiot late in the race. You don't want to be that guy. So, I expect other drivers to give the chasers a little bit extra room. And so, assuming that those 4 chase drivers have good cars, I think that they'll be the ones to beat in the race. And I think it'll be a good one. I will not be surprised I won't be surprised if a non-chaser wins, but I feel like Kevin Harvick is probably going to win the race and therefore also win the championship. That's just my personal opinion. Okay, so let's see. I'll answer one more. This one's from JL Skavnicki. He asks, which driver in the Final Four is most deserving of the title? So I answered a minute ago, are there any drivers that I thought weren't deserving of the title or kind of like, yeah, they didn't really deserve to be in the Final Four, Now I guess which driver is most deserving? It goes along with what I mentioned. I feel like Kevin Harvick is probably the most deserving just because they've consistently run the best. But I don't know. I'm rooting for Denny Hamlin for two reasons. One, because I've always kind of been a pretty good Hamlin fan. But two, I think it'd be a good story, a good just like emotional boost for Hamlin. Because the last couple of years have been tough for him. I mean, he had the back injury last year and all that. And they came back this year, and they had 2 years ago, they had the failure late in the chase that really cost him a chance at a championship. Then last year, he hoped he would bounce back and have a big year, and he had the injury, and all that happened, and that was bad. So now here he comes in 2014. He's been good. He's been really solid, good enough to make it to the Final Four, But, he hasn't been super great. But the fact that he gets another chance at that title that he just missed out on in 2012, I mean, I think it'd be cool with all the stuff that he's had to come back from. I think it'd be cool to see Denny Hamlin win this title. That doesn't mean he's necessarily the most deserving, because in my opinion, the driver that's most deserving is the driver that's, run the best, and that's not been Denny Hamlin. So that's why I think Harvick is the most deserving. But at the same time, I hope I'm rooting for Denny Hamlin. I think that would be a cool story, And it'd kind of it might open the eyes of NASCAR if Hamlin or Newman are to win this championship. I mean, sure, NASCAR can say all they want. Oh, yeah, that's what the chase does. We liked the wild card sense of it. We liked how random it was and how exciting. Yeah, you never know who's going to win. NASCAR is going to say that all they want, but deep down, they'll be a little aggravated because I don't think NASCAR really wants Newman or Hamlin to win the title. I don't think they'd really mind, but if you look at it realistically, they're kind of looking at it like, yeah, this chase format really. The moment Dale Jr. got eliminated after just the second round, I think NASCAR looked at it and was like, oh crap, might have just been beaten by our thing. But then with the fights at Charlotte and Texas, I think they realized they'd done the right thing because that got them a big boost. But yeah, so most deserving. I mean, Harvick, they've run the best, so yeah, them. I'm rooting for Denny Hamlin though. I think that'd be a good, just good comeback story, I guess. And Hamlin just seems to be a pretty nice guy overall. So that's all the questions I'm gonna answer. I've got one more episode. I just realized this is the second to last episode. I'm only doing one more Chase Grid talk, and that'll be on Monday. And that'll be when I talk about whoever won the championship and all that stuff. So should be fun. It's gonna be exciting. Gonna be a good race. I like Homestead. Homestead's gonna be a good track, and I hope that you guys also look forward to my personal Doubly Cup Series Season 5 finale tomorrow, also from Homestead. And I hope you guys look forward to both of those. And I'll see you guys on Monday. Thanks for listening.